In hindsight, I wouldn't even date him. You understand? He said he was planning to marry me, and you know, the tabloids, then it was newspapers, so they would talk about him, talk about me, and
The issues between Emeka Ike and his ex-wife Susan Emma has now taken a different turn, as she has now come out to refute his accusations and level her own accusations against him.
Our buildings and all that, because of his drug use. We couldn't make things out of life. We couldn't do anything with because of his drug use.
But there are a lot of holes in her story, which might indicate that she is simply lying. Let's start with the root of the problem, how they met.
Susan Emma, the wife of famous actor Emeka Ike, is speaking to the press for the first time in her life.
Actually, I wanted to be an actress. That's why I became his friend. I was modeling at that time. I just come out of secondary school. I was 18. And then I met him along the line, and I wanted to be, someone who would put me into the industry.
From this statement, it becomes very clear that she never really loved him. She simply wanted fame and money.
He said he was planning to marry me, and the tabloids, then it was newspapers, so they would talk about him, talk about me, and
She practically managed him for more than 12 years, until his fame diminished and his money went low. Then she started to fight back.
So, at that time, we didn't have money.
Okay.
The landlord had kicked us out of the house. The time we were given had come to an end. Doing that, yeah. And it was until I was 28, 29, going into my 30s, I started fighting back.
Right.
And then it's now escalated from, verbal and all that, and then it became physical.
Ironically, she implied that he didn't abuse her for close to 12 years of their relationship until she started to fight back.
That started, like I said, when I started fighting back. Because, and I think he did feel that I was going wings and I needed to be, clamped down. So it started off as financial, financial abuse, because I was not allowed to work. You understand?
He didn't allow you to work?
He didn't allow me to work. Actually,
She claimed that he didn't want her to work. Well, that's a lie, because apparently he made her proprietress of his school, of which he claimed she practically destroyed.
I was directing a movie, and I was going to act in one of the movies. So 2 movies for J&J Pictures in Maryland. So they knew I was going to be away for a while. So they took their time to plan. So I was on air when she rang the bell, and all the students came out and said, "Look, I'm shutting down this school right now. You all have to go tell your parents, put you in another school." I wasn't waiting for it. I came back home to nothing.
What do you mean by verbal and emotional abuse?
Insults, putting you down every time.
So you had a terrible temper?
Yes.
Well, she also claimed that he emotionally and verbally abused her, but then indirectly confessed that she also insults her husband and emotionally abuses him.
They are beneath you, and you're allowing them to do this and do that. And I got upset. I was like, why are you being a jerk? And excuse my language. And I went off into the car to sit down and...
So they had moved all the properties I have in Lagos. I lost plenty of them, like 80% of my lands, because it was just the bag I traveled to America with that I had just with me.
So the documents for those lands were taken? People
are bidding on my property, and I'm looking at it and I feel like killing myself because I can't defend what you don't have evidence to. So it was a planned thing.
The evidence was taken?
There's no evidence because you came back, they've moved your load out of the house and you can't see any piece, nothing. Your wristwatches, your awards, your pictures with presidents, everything I got as Emeka Ike was gone.
It is clear that she waited for him to travel before she decided to pack up whatever she felt she was entitled to take and then absconded with it.
But at that time I had planned to leave.
Okay.
So he traveled, but he was within Nigeria, he traveled to.
Okay.
So when I was moving, I selected my things and kept them aside with my 2 younger children.
Right.
You understand?
Yeah.
So when he landed and he called me to tell me he had landed, and I said, I've moved out. This is what I lived. This is what I lived 14 years of my life. When I left, I only took my clothes, my international passport, my certificates, my 2 children and their clothes. That was the only thing I took. I'm not in possession of his properties, where I did know their locations and all that.
When a lady claims that she simply left with her bag after a 14 years relationship with a guy, trust me, she is completely lying. If she claimed that he didn't want her to work and that she had left her positions as proprietress of his school, then to what property or investment is she cashing in on right now and using to support her children?
Our buildings and all that, because of his drug use. We couldn't make things out of life. We couldn't do anything with, we couldn't plan. We couldn't go ahead with our plans because of his drug use.
So he had a drug problem?
Yes.
When you say drug, what do you mean by drug?
Well, I didn't know he was taking drugs. It was when my kids came back, they told me their dad takes drugs.
What kinds of drugs?
Meds, whatever. They said they found his paraphernalia, And that made me realize why money would finish, why we'll plan and say, okay, this money is coming in, we need to do this, we're going to do this, and all of a sudden, money is gone.
You've just described.
Wow, she truly has set out to destroy this man. Look how quick she was to label him a drug addict without providing any evidence. After 14 years of relationship with him in which she never for once caught him with any drugs or felt any drugs on him, except at the start of their relationship, when he would once in a while take marijuana to relax a bit, she decided to put herself on the media to try to completely destroy his career. She claims that one of her kids told her that daddy had some medications on the table. This is her only evidence for coming on the media to accuse him of being a drug addict. This is truly evil.
Out of a moving vehicle before. I've attempted suicide 3 times.
Because of your husband?
Yes. He's not saying all these things. The pastors, the church will send pastors to our house. And he's out there, I'm in the bathroom, I want to slit my wrist. I've bought pack of blade. And him and the pastors are out there banging down my door, banging down the bathroom door. You understand? Because it was.
Here is our conclusion. From her statements and confessions, it is clear that this lady is capable of doing terrible things. And she is really cringe.
I preferred physical. I preferred him to beat me than to say things to me.
Also from the way she talked about him, it is obvious never truly loved or respected him. Emeka Ike made his own mistakes, which is very clear. But we don't really think he was the only bad actor in this relationship. Tell us what you think in the comment section.